Brett Kavanaugh, Supreme Court nominee and world's angriest calendar enthusiast. In addition to the sexual assault claims against him, people are zeroing in on another reason Kavanaugh may not be fit for the Supreme Court, and that is honesty. Along with a complexion that looks good in black, honesty is one of the things you most want in a Supreme Court justice. And there are more and more signs that Kavanaugh might not have enough of it, especially when it comes to his history with drinking. Because Kavanaugh may make it seem like he's had a casual relationship with alcohol, but it turns out the two of them were probably more than just friends.
Kavanaugh has acknowledged sometimes drinking too much as a young man, but former classmates of Kavanaugh's are saying that he's being misleading about how much he drank back then and his belligerence when he did.
A Yale College classmate of Kavanaugh's, Charles Chad Ludington, said Kavanaugh tried to deceive the Senate by downplaying his drinking habits. Ludington says on multiple occasions he saw Kavanaugh staggering from alcohol consumption.
Charles Ludington, who went to Yale with Brett Kavanaugh, says that on one last occasion, I purposely socialized with Brett. I witnessed him respond to a semi-hostile remark, not by diffusing the situation, but by throwing beer in the man's face and starting a fight that ended with one of our mutual friends in jail.
Damn. Kavanaugh might not be fit to serve on the Supreme Court, but I think we should nominate him to serve on the next season of Jersey Shore. He sounds right. Because the story is pretty wild, right? It turns out in 1985, Kavanaugh and his friends got into a bar fight that got so rowdy, the police got called in, and the police filed an official report. And here's the thing. It's one thing to get into a fight. It's another thing to get into a fight where the cops are called. And on top of that, a fight where the cops are called on a white guy. Do you know how bad a fight has to be for the police to get called on a white guy at an Ivy League school in the 80s? That was like rich white male heyday. I mean, every decade is, but that one was extra good for them. And personally, I would never want to see Brett Kavanaugh get into a fight, because you know it would be super weird. It would be like, hey, bro, you want to throw down? Because I swear I'll start... I swear I'll start... You know what, I just need to write it in my calendar first. September 25th. September 25th. Throw drink in dude's face at the bar. Now it's official. It's in my calendar. I had peace. So it turns out Brett Kavanaugh, Mr. I like beer, Mr. I might have exceeded the legal limit a little bit, allegedly got into a bar brawl where he hit someone in the face with his drink. And the reason Kavanaugh was fighting is probably one of the greatest stories of all time.
Ludington telling the New York Times he witnessed Kavanaugh getting into a bar brawl after a UB40 concert.
They saw someone they thought was the band's lead singer. And the man said he wasn't and told the three of them to stop looking at him. Kavanaugh apparently became belligerent.
Brett said, you, or something to that effect, and threw the ice at the guy. The guy, understandably, even though he had been aggressive in his response, found that was a little one step too far. So he took a swing at Brett. At that point, Chris Dudley, who had his drink in his hand, proceeded to smash it up against the guy's head.
Okay. Now, if you're lost, it's probably because you're not drunk. Because you see, this has gone from a stock standard Supreme Court hearing to a wild 1985 story where a future Supreme Court nominee and his friend Dudley, a future NBA player, got in a fight with some guy because they thought he looked like the lead singer of the reggae band UB40. Yeah. Right now, the story's so weird, you can make up any detail and it would be believable. You could be like, and then Kavanaugh punched the horse, and that horse went on to become the ruler of Iran. You don't know if it's fake. And by the way, I also feel bad for the lead singer of UB40, right? Because everyone covering the story just keeps referring to him as the lead singer of UB40. He has a name. You know, it's UB, I'm pretty sure. Like, there's a name. And now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're throwing a drink in someone's face because they're not the lead singer of UB40, you're either someone who drank a ton, or you're just a crazy person. It's one or the other. And again, him raging as a young man doesn't disqualify him from serving on the Supreme Court, right? But Brett Kavanaugh lying about it to the Senate is what should be of concern.